Your Vice President, Mike Pence, is running against you.
Yeah.
Your Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, she's running against you. Your former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said he's not supporting you. You mentioned national...
Just after this interview, something happened. This guy who interviewed Trump has been appointed, according to this article from Fox News, named moderators of first Republican debate. You can see it clearly just after this. Now he has been named moderator of the debate. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter that Trump should not partake in this. To me, false. He should, because looking through this interview, he defended himself. He was standing tall to all insane questions.
Brett Baler had you know who
on a show.
on a show. Yeah. And so the clip is most interesting. Take a look. It's Fox.
Your Vice President, Mike Pence, is running against you.
Yeah.
Your Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, she's running against you. Your former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said he's not supporting you. You mentioned National Security Advisor John Bolton. He's not supporting you either. You mentioned Attorney General Bill Barr, says you shouldn't be president again, calls you the consummate narcissist and troubled man. You recently called Barr a gutless pig. Your second Defense Secretary is not supporting you, called you irresponsible. This week, you and your White House called your White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, weak and ineffective and born with a very small brain. You called your acting White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney, a born loser. You called your first Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, dumb as a rock, and your first Defense Secretary, James Mattis, the world's most overrated general. You called your White House Press Secretary, Kayleigh Canadian milquetoast, and multiple times you've referred to your Transportation Secretary, Elaine Chao, as Mitch McConnell's China-loving wife.
And those are his good points.
I mean, that's quite powerful.
I
was
think so.
quite powerful. What'd you think when you saw it?
Because it was Fox. Because the guy is at Fox. But, you know, I don't trust Fox. They go where the wind's blowing, you know?
But Brett Baler did a really good job.
He did.
Watching that interview, I mean, we shouldn't be surprised anymore, but my jaw was on the ground. One of my favorite parts was that rundown of all the people. It felt like Brett Baler was reading mean tweets as he just kept an even tone the whole time.
A gutless pig. That hurts.
This interview was a good example of people don't need to tell anyone watching how to feel. You should have felt something watching that, because the absurdity of some of the statements. Brett Baler also reminded him he did lose the election. You know, he tried to gaslight that. And Alyssa, just to clear your name was shouted out at one point, and he said, someone that used to talk really highly of me, Alyssa Farah, and now she got a job offer and they made her change her view. Let me just remind him that the second he started denying the election was when Alyssa left. So, and it wasn't a year and a half later with her view highly changed until she came to this show.
He's obsessed
so
with
I was offended for you.
Thank you for that. No, that was the most striking part to me in that interview, because I knew, although, like, I worked with many of those people, many of us have spoken out against him, and I say, you know, not to you ladies and most of you in the audience, but folks at home, believe those of us who were I was in more Oval Office meetings with him than I can count. I briefed him in his cabin on Air Force One. I've been on Marine One with him. I know him. I'm telling you, he's unfit for office. All those other officials are. You should believe us because we saw it.
Yeah.
But
Yes, I want you to pay attention to this. The View seems to be happy with this Fox News interview. You need to ask yourself this question, why? Simply because this anchor decided to attack Trump. According to this article published by the Gateway Pundit, Fox News is gone. He attacks Trump on classified document but defends Pence after he lied about holding the document illegally at his home. Mike Pence told CNN in November 2022 that he did not take any classified document with him when he left office. Obviously, that was a lie. If you flash back, I don't want to play the video here, you will see clearly that this was false. Now, he had this interview with this guy on Fox News. The View is excited after the interview. This was tough. You know, Whoopi Goldberg actually appreciating him. If the view is actually in line with something, you need to question that thing. Yes, that is just based on my observations, what I've seen recently. According to them, this was brilliant, but Joy Behar did not agree with this. She said, we should not trust Fox News, which has been a slogan we all know. So I agree with her on this point. Going down on this article, as Vice President Mike Pence, like Joe Biden, could not take classified documents, it was illegal for them both to do so. Joe Biden has been holding classified documents since 1974. On Monday, Trump-hating Fox News host Bree sat down with President Trump for an interview, attacked and smeared the president from start to finish. At one point, Bree asked Trump about his classified document he had declassified and was holding at his home in Mar-a-Lago. President Trump pointed out that Mike Pence and Joe Biden were holding classified documents illegally. After they left office, Joe was holding classified documents in several locations and was sharing them with Hunter, business partner, for their illicit deals with foreign clients. Bree was not having it. Bree snapped back at Trump. No, he didn't. He turned them over. Bree forgot to mention that it was illegal for Pence to hold this document at his home, and Bree forgot to mention that Pence told the media 2 months earlier that he did not have the classified document. So if you see the View uploading, being happy, these are some kind of videos they even put out about Mike Pence, but now because of the interview was totally against the former president, they are excited.
Let's bring in Brett Baler. Let's get to see what Brett has to say about this. Brett, thanks for getting to us. I know this is a huge breaking story, but in your opinion, does this deal, this guilty plea, does it end the whole thing?
No, I don't think so. I think the Bidens wanted to end the whole thing. The DOJ is setting it up to... it doesn't really follow policy or precedent here, Stu. If you look at these charges, some of these the gun charge should be a felony. Traditionally, other people have faced that with a minimum of 5 years in prison, which is pretty amazing because it's use of a gun in the distribution or selling of drugs at the time. So there is a specific statute that deals with that. It's not happening here. That charge is actually being diverted, thrown away, and there's 2 misdemeanor charges on taxes. So there'll be a lot of criticism on Capitol Hill on this. What doesn't go away is the investigation into the alleged bribery scheme.